Schrodinger's cat is a thought experiment that questions the duality of the world around us. If you put a cat into a box that has an equal chance of killing it and letting it survive, the cat's condition cannot be reasonably determined without opening the box. So, for as long as the box remains closed, that cat is in a state of limbo, being both alive and dead. That's what this video is like. A video that simultaneously took 2 weeks and 11 fucking months. I'll get back to that, but in the meantime, today's discussion topic, Turning Red. Released just 16 years after Nacho Libre, Turning Red is an animated family comedy about a young quirky Asian girl named Mei-Lin Lee, seen here doing, well, whatever this is, who turns into a red panda when she gets too emotional, trying to survive until the next red moon when they can remove the curse, all the while trying to go to an NSYNC rip-off concert with her friends. The teaser was uploaded sometime in mid-November 2021, and it got backlash. Like, I know it's not exactly fair to judge a film by its trailer, but can you blame me? The 3 previous Pixar films were Onward, Luca, and fucking Soul, okay? So, unless you really liked Blue People, you would have been concerned too. My point is, Pixar was on a losing streak. And it's not that the 3 previous films were bad, I enjoyed them for the most part, but when you compare something like the brilliantly crafted worlds in Coco, a world infused with such culture and wonder and beauty alike, and then you take the urban fantasy and minimal world building of something like Onward, this new movie set in Toronto, Canada, 2002, did not look like it was going to be exceptional. We expect greatness from Pixar because it is what they have always delivered, and these just were not greatness. But hell, you can't judge a book by its cover or a film by its trailer, so let's actually watch the movie and just see how it is. So a typical PG movie will have some adult themes, right? But they'll be well hidden enough that the child won't know that they didn't know something. That rule was not applied to Turning Red. And you know what? I think that's my biggest problem with this film. This film wasn't exactly marketed as a realistic coming-of-age film. It was marketed as a family comedy for the 7-year-olds in the audience. No one expected the period analogy to be so blatantly prominent and critically important to the story, which would have encouraged some caution for a lot of parents who wanted to see the film with their kids. At the midpoint of the movie, Mei-Lin and the gang want to go see the Four Town concert, but they realize it'll cost them 800 doubloons, so they have to raise 800 doubloons. Now, at exactly the wrong time, in walks the Plastics, who pay Mei to hug her while in panda mode, and this gives Mei-Lin an idea: selling her body. Basically, Mei-Lin sells photos of her in panda mode to other kids to raise some money, which is cute until you realize it's an analogy for nudes. And like, that's not me reading too much into this, right? They knew what they were doing when they had one of the students text a classroom, OMG Panda Pics Room 202. And at one point, this kid Justin is trying to blackmail Mei by telling her mom about the whole nudes thing. To which Mei-Lin responds by turning into a panda, and he says, "Put that thing away." Ah yes, that thing. And we know Mei is horny as shit because of the inciting incident being her drawing a bunch of fetish art about the guy working at the grocery store, and this scene where she gets randomly swooned by this goth kid in the hallway. This doesn't come off as being like cute and haha analogy. It ends up being notably uncomfortable, disturbing even. Like, it started off as 13 going on 30, and now I'm being thrust into euphoria. It's not the biggest problem, but it didn't help when watching the film. That was the opinion that I had 8 months ago, when I first started working on this, and the script was finalized, and the video was edited and done. And it feels less informed now, possibly because I've had it marinate in my mind for so long. But I just don't see this film as being so uncomfortable. I still think my opinion back then was valid, but I don't think it's right. This This is a family-friendly way to introduce the concepts of periods and puberty to young women, and that seems kick-ass, and I think they knew that. When people on Twitter say things like, Disney is indoctrinating kids, number one, that's your daily reminder to leave Twitter, and number two, I think there are valid morals behind that poorly voiced opinion. Now, I understand you don't want Pixar teaching your kids things that you aren't prepared to, but I don't call that indoctrination, I call that insight. I've never played Bloodborne. I'm not gonna lie, that scene is uncomfortable. I felt wrong and slightly disturbed while watching it, and that is a damn good thing. A softer way to introduce kids to a woman's reproductive system sounds kick-ass. I know there is a lot of misinformation about a woman's reproductive system, and I think part of the reason there is still a lot of misinformation about a woman's reproductive system is because it's just less comfortable to talk about than dick. I haven't even used a technical term for it. I've been saying female reproductive system, but I would have said cock and balls every time. And speaking of balls, let's roll on over to the next I had no better transition. Domee Shi, the film's director, made a 10-second clip of a hamster twerking to K-pop, and now she's here. Although this is Shi's first time directing a feature-length film, she directed the short film Bao, about a parent mothering a dumpling, and she was a storyboard artist for many Pixar films since 2011. So she's had about 5 to 6 years of experience with Pixar. And like, that number is going by now and not earlier. And honestly, it shows, man. This movie is very animated, which sounds like a stupid thing to say until you actually watch it. Every frame feels special. There's a beautiful mix between 3D animation and hand-drawn animation in certain frames, and the character design is immaculate. You can determine how every character sounds and what their personality is just by looking at them. That charm goes into the characters too. Rosalie Chang, voice of Mei-Lin Lee, had a sort of charming imperfection in her voice that the animators and everyone else tried to capitalize on, and I'd say it works perfectly. Rosalie Chang looks like she sounds like she looks like this. Bingo. Mei's design was made by a bunch of women insulting each other's faces. I'm not lying, watch the documentary. The design they were going for was a sort of chunky cute, and I'd say it worked. The characters have very soft skin with plump faces, and it's kind of adorable. It makes the film look very animated without sacrificing quality, and I think I am alone in saying that. My God, this film got shit on for its animation, especially the character design, which I don't think is fair. Sure, it's not as realistic as something like, say, Frozen, but it's not lazy, it's stylized. Good animation fits the tone of the film, and this film works better with this animation. If it had a more realistic style, it would take away from the film's charm and goofy nature. It would be less goofy. Do you dislike the goof? How dare you? So no, what they did was not lazy. They put a lot of effort into their characters and their personalities. For example, the father is a classic character archetype that basically never speaks. Bro has like 2 lines of dialogue throughout the entire movie. And while you would think that makes him an unimportant character, it actually just emphasizes all of the things he does say. Every time he speaks, he is defending or comforting a member of his family. The next line in the script is, "Someone call Vin Diesel because Dad is a family man." I'm not gonna read that seriously. His quietness is also important for another reason that we'll get back to when we talk about generational trauma. Is a problem I'm not very well versed in. Instead of picking up trauma from my parents, I got asthma, but not mentioning it would be doing this movie a disservice. So I hit up my homie France and said, "Hey France, could you do my job for me?" And she said, "Hi, I'm Teddy, executive producer here at Tags, formerly TED. And here at Tags, formerly TED, we try to hold ourselves to the highest production quality that we can manage. That being said, every now and then the contemporary cookie will crumble in a goofy manner, way more wacky than we were expecting. So why am I telling you this? Because the fragility of the cookie has shown through. We cannot get France's lines. And yeah, that's a bit of a fucky-wucky right there. So what we're going to do is link France's lines in the description, because I can't get VLC Media Player to work, and I can't physically screen record them. for an audience of 40. Anyways, feel free to, in fact, do so now. It's going to be important for the upcoming part. Watch that. Get back to here once you're done. You have 6 seconds. You know, on my first viewing, I missed all of that. I missed every bit. I only found out there was an entire theme that I missed because when I told France that I was doing a video over this movie, she said, oh, so you're going to talk about the generational trauma? And I said, the what? So I asked her to write about it, and she gave me this. And then I was like, hey, I can't read this. This is too good. You should do it. And she said nothing for 4 months, and then she gave me this. When I watched this movie for the first time, I missed the significance of that ending scene with Meilin and Ming, that's her mother, in the ritual forest when Mei helps her mother with a problem she had with her mother. She's ending a line of generational trauma. I missed that entirely. That's why it took me so long to make this video. It took me 2 hours to watch, but like 8-ish plus months to understand. I don't know. When I watched this for a second time, it felt like white people watching Zootopia and missing all of the themes about racism. They're filling minority communities with drugs that's literally something that happened in the 80s. It just goes to show that we need to educate each other on common problems. If there's one takeaway from this video, I want it to be that I am really funny. If there are 2 takeaways from this video, I want the second one to be that we need to feel comfortable enough as a community to discuss uncomfortable things. And you know what? Maybe we're even in for some uncomfortable fun. That's the title of the video. Thank you to France from Anxious Smile for recording that entire segment and writing it and just generally helping me with this. It was really kind of you. It's been a year since this movie came out. It's been a year since I've watched this. It is currently 5 a.m. on a Sunday that I'm recording this. All right, this has halted my everything. This has been my everything I think about. And now that it's done, I can move on to literally anything else. Expect more content, but not soon though. I'm a procrastinator. All right, that'll be all. I overall like this movie. I would recommend you watch it, and I picked up on the themes in it, and I feel, on my second time, and I feel proud of that. You know, things from this point onward will be more fun. More fun. More of this. I'm doing this regularly. This is what I do now. I can cut all of this. I don't like any of this. This tastes like ass.